World Development System. Chapter 301 The Shift in Balance of Power. Frederick asked Melanie in a serious tone, "What do you think of that girl Mayane? As far as I am concerned, I am quite skeptical because she is a devil. As I may have my bias because of the previous interactions, so I wanted your opinion on Lemuria and devils." Melanie nodded a bit and spoke, "As far as I remember correctly, they might be intending to ally with us for our weapons because of their two small bordering kingdoms, first Bet's Azel kingdom made of high devil nobles to the northwest of Lemuria, and second because of demon Lily Krengo, i.e. the dark elf kingdom south of Bet's Azel and southwest of Lemuria. Also, they might be wary of Fire Abyss now since travel is easier, and Fire Abyss think of attacking Lemuria after gaining some weapons or developing their own like the ones from Sky." She slowly continued, "Internal competition can be one of the reasons because from the looks it didn't look like that Lemuria had any problems with their neighbors except for the demons in the south. But as far as demons are concerned, there is little contact due to violent sea travel from where we can get any valuable information. As far as that girl Mayane is concerned, it looked like she was gauging the reaction of others by the previous move, and she seemed satisfied with the reactions of everyone." Melanie continued as Frederick listened keenly, "Additionally, she lives in a republic and hence she might have gotten a liking towards Sky because of the cohesion of different species, just like Lemuria as compared to other kingdoms. Not to mention they might have been attracted by the new tech here and might want to forge a real and strong relationship with Sky, as they might fear the new weapons of Fire Abyss and take precautions with an alliance in store." Frederick nodded and muttered as he got some idea on the devils, "I see. So it seems that forging a relationship with them might be good for Blucia family as well and create a good balance, since after the ease of travel we may see an increase in conflicts for some or any reason between Fire Abyss and Lemuria due to various reasons, and also the conflicts of interests between nobles. And I think she may be doing this to forge a relationship with Sky for the Amun family first and Lemuria second after watching the tech of Sky. They are most likely attracted to high-speed traveling ships and the use of magic pills which can be used in the military for strategic fights. Anyway, I hope to build a deep seaport at my northern border to facilitate trade with Lemuria as well as Sky. I better pass some of the info on Lemuria to Old Man Ryan and ask his opinions later on." Frederick muttered and nodded satisfyingly. "So the three biggest projects this time are the deep seaport in the northern sea of the duchy, building of various roads and buying of ballistas and their tech, and also the various demonic agricultural accessories and fertilizers. I guess most of this year's tax will be spent on these four projects and the leftovers on civil defense administration. Maybe selling some more of the mines won't matter as they are only waiting rubble for now. Anyway, I am selling it to my son-in-law so it won't bother me as much when I sell it to others. That old man Ryan wouldn't nag now that I have negotiated a good deal and also persuaded John for a marriage." Frederick then spoke to Melanie in a serious tone, "Melanie, I thought a lot previously and I hope that you don't spread the news about demonic agricultural accessories to Elias and Brindil, as this will have bigger consequences. We can delay it for now and wait till John releases those machines." Melanie thought about it as she too was shocked as she nodded as she understood the consequences and spoke with a sigh, "These small accessories can have so much effect on the politics of our region. Those girls really funded something that can change a lot of things in Elias, Sky, Brindil, Ionanor, and Lemuria." Melanie continued as she gave her assurance, "Don't worry, I understand the consequences that these accessories will increase the slaving of demons as the yields in farms will increase, and not to mention the abled bodies of demons which can do thrice more work as compared to humans and twice compared to dwarves. If Elias gets to know this, then they will certainly increase the slaving of demons for farm work as well. Currently, they are only slaving them because of construction works. You better increase your defense as well, since many would be plotting against you. I will inform John and Quill about this tomorrow beforehand so that it doesn't get announced earlier. This deal will only happen behind closed doors." Frederick nodded and bid her farewell to his newly bought manor in North Frontier City. "We will talk later on. It is getting late. I better talk with that girl Diana and tell her to increase the security of that company, Demonic Agricultural Accessories." Melanie too left hurriedly as she sighed after thinking about the events that took place today. Frederick thought as he left for the Blucia Palace, I mostly fear the Radiant Church as they will encourage the slaving of demons and this will be problematic in the power balance in Elias. Their dilemma of removing slavery will be eased and will be shifted to demons. Though there will be a lot of resistance as a lot of nobles own human slaves, but this will certainly kick off the migration of slavery from humans to demons and this will eventually increase wars. I better publicize this as the effects of fertilizers. Nope, that won't work. I better wait for farming machines which will balance out the power and keep this a secret as long as it is possible. Chapter 302 Trevor Snake and Carl Morgan. The next day Minister Plato and Minister Joel's team of officials and businessmen had just arrived in a rush at North Frontier City. There was quite a hubbub among the travelers as they saw the city and discipline of the army exuded by the soldiers of Sky. Jack's grandfather, Trevor Snake, who was quite skeptical about this visit but was quite surprised after watching the majestic North Frontier City walls and then the city as they passed through it and then Sky firsthand. He murmured as he watched the surroundings, quite a different sight from what I expected. I thought all those stories from our spies and traitors were merely exaggerated to help that grandson of mine. I should have trusted my spies and not think of them merely looking out for Jack and them expecting me to help that good for nothing. Carl Morgan, who was quite grumpy for this first visit but had to come here because of Joseph's political connections at Sky, was nevertheless unsurprised as he usually checked the situation of Joseph from time to time by his men. He murmured in a low tone as the carriage moved on, I guess I need to resolve the familial feud between Max and Joseph. However, I never expected that brat's friend to create a kingdom and rebel against the royal family. I guess it was inevitable as His Highness Hector wouldn't have left him alive unless John bowed to him or at least accepted his defeat. And this would have only added more fuel to the fire and become a long-standing hatred. As far as I know, Joseph's father, i.e. my son too, had to bow for his offense to His Highness about 10 years back. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't want Joseph to have close relations with John as he already stirred trouble. Guess it turned out well, so it's good for the family at least. I guess that incident 10 years ago was one of the reasons why Joseph allied so strongly with John as his ideals matched with his ideals. But this success of Joseph will certainly create jealousy and animosity among all other grandchildren of mine, especially Max, who is under Lord Duke Blackwolf as he was just recently fighting with Joseph. These days Joseph has clearly indicated that he is quite happy being independent of the family while doing business from Sky. Maybe I can negotiate a deal with Joseph. But the most worrisome thing would be his smugness and arrogance, as I wouldn't be able to do anything since Elias is a defeated party this time around. Well, I can always use my age and status of grandfather to corner him. At this time another head of the family named Dan, who owned many mines, asked Carl in a worried manner, Hey Carl, what do you think? This meat won't get bloody as the rumors suggest, right? Carl furrowed his brows and spoke, Are you an idiot believing those rumors? Since we were officially called by Sky, you shouldn't worry needlessly, as both Elias and Sky would be protecting this group from Elias. And if it was going to be bloody, then Minister Plato wouldn't have called us in the first place. Currently, no other nation would needlessly start provoking Sky so as get banned from buying mana-restoring pills. You should rather be happy that you were called at this event, as this would be a good opportunity to do some business with Sky. It is rather a headache for me and that cold guy Trevor sitting in the corner to deal with our grandsons. Anyway, you can also make a deal with Sky authorities to get those children and retainers of your family who participated in the previous war. As his name got mentioned, Trevor looked at Carl coldly as he understood why Carl made that remark. Trevor nodded as he thought while looking the old duo of Carl and Dan, it seems, even he was forcibly called by Plato on short notice. It seems Lord Plato intends to use our connections with our grandchildren to cultivate ties with Sky. Carl will most likely speak later with me, so I better not start a conversation and show weakness. Previously, as far as I heard, even Carl had officially disowned Joseph from his family register as he didn't want to get entangled when the war started previously. I presume, like us, he also paid a hefty price to the authorities to convince them. The very fact that Sky was able to deal with Elias and Brindil at the same time is good news for us, as this will reduce the influence of Radiant Church and make space for our families in Elias. Previously we never got into medicine business because of the influence of Radiant Church, and hence were only making and selling poisons to mercenaries, nobles, and countries, or the other business that were related to clothes and food. As the ones dealing in poison for years, how can we not know about medicines unless we were suppressed by that group of light magicians and the Radiant Church? The tricky part in this meet is to satisfy the ego of that brat Jack and to meet his demands so that I can expand our family business. I am sure that Brat is fully in Sky's camp. Meanwhile our family will have to realign a bit to get maximum benefits from both Sky and Elias. As expected, Carl finally but reluctantly approached Trevor as he gave his greetings and asked him straightforwardly, "I heard that Prince Hector's aunt and General Endo's sister too is present for negotiations this time around and is in another royal carriage. Do you have any intel on it?" Trevor Snake focused his eyes a bit on Carl and nodded in agreement. "It looks like your family has also paid a great amount of attention on this visit. This time her visit is for the release of General Endo as well as other nobles who are affiliated in their camp, so it is understandable that she is present. As far as I know, currently, their family has cultivated ties with Lord Ambassador Luke's father, i.e. the Mayor of Imperial City, Lord Mayor Andrew Greenwald, so that they can get the latest information on the local politics of Sky via Luke. I guess their family has contacted you as well after the previous defeat both on land as well as sea. Meanwhile, they might also have other deals so as to improve the relations for now and get the maximum benefits. If you don't know, according to my sources, the right-hand man of Prince Jabals is also here pretending to be a low-level bureaucrat. It seems Prince Jabal will finally reveal his cards and make his moves. Last I heard that your grandson Joseph got a great opportunity and struck gold as he decided to join His Majesty John at much earlier time than that grandson of mine. It was good that they took their own decisions and became independent of the family." Carl was quite surprised when he heard of Jabal's right-hand man and thought, "I guess Prince Jabal never revealed his right-hand man to others, or at least one of his important retainers who deals with his shady stuff." As far as the tone of Trevor is concerned, looks like he intends to cooperate with Sky this time around and diversify his interests. And looks like he knows more about Joseph's work at Sky than our family. It seems Queen Cecilia's family has taken the road to decouple themselves from Prince Hector, as they don't want to miss the opportunity in Sky and are going to support other children of Cecilia, most likely the seventh prince. Most likely they had taken this decision after reading the letter from General Endo, who might have told them of the military power as well as other developments of Sky. Most of the countries are keeping a mum on the real firepower of Sky from the civilians. The most we know about is the cannons and ships which wrecked the armies of Elias and Brindil. However, there is a lot of mystery that is being hidden from the civilians. Even that brat Joseph didn't reveal anything to his father or mother when they asked him in his letters. This meet will most likely demonstrate the firepower of Sky, as they will be rewarding their military for the previous feats. Carl nodded gratefully and spoke, "Thank you for the confirmation. We will talk later, as there are a lot of eyes. I will anyway have a longer stay than the bureaucrats themselves, as I don't want to lose an opportunity for business in Sky. If you two are intending for a longer stay, then let's meet later on." Carl nodded and left as he saw that Trevor didn't intend to reveal anything. Trevor nodded coldly, as he too didn't intend to disclose anything sensitive in the carriage. He thought as he saw the border town and Lord Plato discussing with the border patrols, "It looks like we will be escorted by the border police and only some military men will be escorting us." This border town looks quite developed as seen from the roads and the way that people are using a lot of new accessories and tools. Cohesion between various species looks quite good. Apart from Minister Joel and Princess Cecilia's sister, all the other ministers are in control of Lord Plato so as not to create conflicts and misunderstandings with Sky. It seems there will be a boring treaty. Chapter 303, The Second Demon Prince Bitter. At the Imperial Palace. Currently, everyone was preparing for the arrival of Plato and Joel in a hurried manner, as John also got information about their arrival and also the dignitaries from other countries. All the officials were busy with the preparations, as this will mark the entry of Sky in the regional politics of kingdoms. On the other hand, today, every one of the ministers and bureaucrats in the administrative headquarters was surprised by their new appointments and understood the significance of this change. A lot of people from the other countries were arriving at Sky via their various steeds. The second demon prince of Fire Abyss, Bitter too, had arrived with his awe-inspiring demon steeds, while he himself was riding a royal fire demon dragon. He had 2 mid-sized horns in front, while he was wearing royal Fire Abyss clothes of red with a royal cape. He had long red hair and a great physique as compared to other demons. Currently, he was looking with contempt at the distance at the team of Elias when they arrived. He smiled and thought after they arrived, I am quite certain that this group of officials from Elias is certainly holding a grudge against Sky. Well, part of the reason why Sky won was because of us holding Elias back because of our fire demon dragons and hunters. And another part of the reason why Royal Father doesn't bother with Sky is that they don't have any aerial steeds to defend against us or Elias and aren't a big threat. Anyway, I better move as well and make my move. Maybe I should teach this group from Elias a lesson and humiliate them. One of the captains from the border guards came to Bitter and spoke in a stern manner, as he didn't want a collision between Fire Abyss and Elias inside Sky. Your Highness, we have arranged a suitable accommodation for your escort team and your royal steed as you wished. A lot of people were quite surprised after looking at the dragon, but calmed down after at the team of border guards, who were quite calm and were equipped with special rifles in front of the demons. The man leading them once worked in the Ghosts division and had just recently transferred due to mortal injury. He was quite calm as he understood that a confrontation between Fire Abyss and Elias was certain to occur. Bitter nodded and thought as he looked at the rifles, I guess these toys are the famed guns that were used in the previous battle to defeat Elias. I wonder how they generated so much power that can even be used by a commoner to defeat magic knights and magicians. These guns equipped by our demon dragons hunters would certainly make us invincible in aerial battle. I wonder who will create those guns first, Elias or Fire Abyss? Or maybe Brindil? The border patrol captain sighed as he signaled his men to back off, as he kept a wait and watch attitude. Bitter laughed with contempt as he saw the escort team driver of Elias that was coming with lowered head, ignoring them completely so as to avoid confrontation. He spoke rather loudly, unlike the past arrogance, I guess these wusses from Elias won't come out of their beast carriages, as they only like to scheme behind the scenes and show their power only in their domain. Why don't we have a spar? Minister Plato, who inside the carriage furrowed his brows in anger as he controlled himself and spoke in a calm tone with quite a presence after looking at the troublemaker, ramblings of a poor dog who can't fight his third brother Chad when it comes to the influence of her mother's side. As for the first prince, Vertsalon, you can't challenge him because of his strength. As far as you are concerned, you are only good at selecting and judging your retainers. Brat, it's still too early for you to flap your wings in front of me and make a joke of yourself. The very fact that you having a spar with me will become a huge honor for you. Remember this and don't forget this lesson in your life. Even your father had once respectfully tried to recruit me 20 years back. Know your place before I make you kneel down. Minister Plato released his terrifying aura when he spoke last words, which made even the young dragon become serious as it sweated a bit from his head, while Bitter himself was sweating subconsciously after hearing him. At the same time, the demons themselves almost kneeled subconsciously if it were not for the demon commander to get them back to their senses. The commander of Bitter's escort team was quite unconcerned by Plato's aura, as he was only focused on protecting the prince and keeping the honor of demon guards. The commander smiled and murmured, "It seems you still haven't lost your former touch, Plato." As Plato's team left, Plato murmured in the carriage, "This kid thinks he can crap on me. Back in my days, I would have killed him in the battlefield for such an offense. If not for my hurry or any need to create trouble, I would have certainly taught him a lesson." It seems his father is quite considerate in giving him that commander. Minister Joel simply smiled and spoke, "It's okay, his contempt comes from our last defeat and also the fact that he just recently tamed his dragon. It seems his retainer didn't interfere deliberately so as to temper Prince Bitter. That guy seemed quite sturdy as he wasn't even concerned by your aura. I guess His Highness would certainly remember the last encounter for his whole life. Let's go, we don't have much time anyway. The carriage driver didn't bother and left immediately as Plato didn't bother to look at the commander's face, which was covered by a mask, or else he would have certainly remembered him after some concentration. Meanwhile, Bitter was quite angry and murmured, "Such bad luck to run into Plato, looks like Plato himself is arriving for negotiation this time around. I guess he wants to gauge Lord John himself and plan a strategy for the future." The demon commander then came and spoke to Bitter. "Bitter, you should wear this magic charm just in case if demons are targeted as well. From our information, it looks like Lord Irmela himself and his men will take action today to send a message to everyone on this continent." The demons in the underworld had said that some interesting phenomenon took place at the Sky Kingdom yesterday, and this has irked Irmela, so we might expect an interesting show. Not letting the previous incident to sour his mood, Bitter nodded his head and left to first check his men and then left for his official duties. He muttered to his retainer, "I guess it is always better to be cautious. What do you think would happen this time, Azraz?" Azraz solemnly looked in the sky and spoke, "Most likely a show of force, a curse to Lord John directly, an assassination or an unusual solar or lunar eclipse to tell the people of the world about the arrival of gods or their minions called angels at least. I don't think the archdemons, archdevils, dragon gods would keep quiet if Irmela intends to dominate the whole of Arkan, but they won't if it is only in this region. However, I am more worried about the recent sightings of the portals. Well, it is okay as long as they are deactivated. Let's go for now. Anyway, I plan to meet Vlad after such a long time. I have just heard from my sources that he has accepted the post of Defense Minister in Sky. I guess this is due to his influence on Lord John in the initial days." The Captain Commander of Sky 2 was quite composed as he saw the confrontation between Elias and Fire Abyss. Arzaz curiously looked at the commander and understood that a lot of commanders had a unique aura. The Captain Commander, unlike the previous etiquette, then spoke in an irritated manner to Arzaz and Bitter, "I hope the show is now over. Let's go to your palace." Unlike the other nobles, both Arzaz and Bitter nodded without making a fuss as they followed the Captain Commander of Sky from border patrols. The patrol team was quite stunned after looking at Bitter and Arzaz, who were quite easygoing. Arzaz smiled as he looked at the awkward situation. He thought, "I guess other guests here were quite rude and hence the shocked reaction by these patrol guards. I am sure this commander is personally chosen by Arlen to teach manners to the rude guests. No wonder the nobles from Elias, Fire Abyss, and Brindil are behaving themselves. Well, it is good that Lord Bitter leaves his arrogance whenever he is outside, and this is one of the reasons that he has the best network when it comes to businessmen in Fire Abyss. Not even Lord Apollyon might be aware of this aspect." Bitter then spoke, "Arzaz, didn't you want to fight Plato? I heard that you have some history with him." Arzaz smiled as he spoke, "Now is not the time. Confront him and make him aware of my existence. As far as my history is concerned, I just destroyed a few bases directly controlled by him about 25 years ago on our borders. We did have some bouts but never a conclusion, as every time someone would retreat after sensing the reinforcements. At this time there was quite a hubbub among the people as many recognized the voice of Defense Minister of Elias, Plato. One of the commoners spoke immediately, "It looks like we are going to be recognized officially by various powers today. Look, even the wielder of Elias's military force, Lord Plato, has arrived, which speaks a lot. As for the demons, they have also sent Second Prince Bitter as their representative, while other demon nobles are also present. As for Brindil, they have already sent Lord Anon, who will most likely handle all the things." Another old demon commoner who seemed like a veteran spoke while smoking a pipe, "This is nothing, as far as I know from my mates at the border patrol team. Even the Lord Baron of North, Baron Mendez, has personally arrived secretly in the morning." This news was blocked in Elias by Lord Plato so as keep the populace calm. "That brat of mine in the Sky Army just arrived home today from Dolores to say his greetings and attend the military parade. According to him, half of our army has been pulled back from Dolores to the borders and only 1/10 of the army will remain there after Lord Baron completely forms his army from scratch. 1/10 of our army is also staying there on Baron's personal request to Chief Marsh, as Lord Baron doesn't trust Lord Duke Norman nor does he trust the royal family after the failed coup by Prince Hector and Lord Antonio. According to our mates at the border, previously Lord Plato had travelled with 4 dragon knights from capital that only stopped at the southern borders of Baron Mendez's domain. While another 2 had directly travelled from the capital to the tri-junction borders of Sky, Elias and Fire Abyss in the domain of Lord Norman. It is near the volcanic mountain at the northwest of Elias. From my point of view, I am sure that there is a reorganization of their dragon knights into small squads who will be focused on scouting and swift attacks, unlike the previous shock troops, as they might fear complete annihilation and also test the waters of Sky Kingdom frequently after a few years. From my point of view, those dragon knights will be there for a long time so as to stabilize the border cities, villages, and towns, and also to keep the rumors in check, while unofficially they will be administrators. At least on Norman's side, they will certainly be there for a long time, as they can act as a two-edged sword. One edge towards to Sky and Fire Abyss and other towards Lord Norman to warn him from trying any mischief like Lord John. A teen kid then keenly watched as he spoke and asked the veteran, "Hey, old man, weren't you in the Navy? How come you are here? And aren't you afraid of leaking sensitive military information to the enemy present here? You can even be tried by the courts because of such leaks. Don't think I don't know about our laws." The demon veteran laughed at this question and spoke as he showed his injured leg. "Well, I retired after this fatal injury when we fought the fjords a few months back. I was in the vanguard. However, I am glad that I shed blood for the formation of Sky and was part of Lord Blake's troops and achieved our purpose, or else we would have remained as slaves forever. As far as you are concerned about this leak, you shouldn't worry, as such type of information would have already been leaked to the enemies, as it is quite open. And that kid of mine would have warned me, or he would never tell me this news if he was banned by the army to not reveal it. Come to Square, kid, and view the victory parade of our army. Then maybe I will tell you more of our stories in the Navy." The demon veteran thought as he heard the kid, "If I didn't know this, then I would have certainly spoken about the arrival of Lord Lookoff's men and also Lord Casey's men." The kid thought a bit and spoke, "Okay, anyway the lunch is on you, old man, bah on." The demon veteran slapped his head as he spoke, "This snotty brat would empty my pockets. Kid, don't you have school today?" The kid looked at him and gave the look as if he was looking at an idiot and spoke, "Don't you know that it's a Sunday today?" Bah-on ignored the answer by the kid so as to not seem stupid and spoke, "So what if it is a Sunday? You kids must always strive to learn as much as you can." People laughed as they heard the conversation between them and continued their chat. The kid ignored the stupid arguments by Bah-on, then looked at the theatre and spoke with some longing, "I heard that today Donovan Entertainment Group will be entertaining the group of royals from other countries in the theatre near the square. I wish to see their play. Hey, why don't you fund me today?" The demon veteran sighed as he looked at the exorbitant prices of the play today, but cheered up as he followed the kid for the military parade. He spoke to the kid with an irritated look, "Kid, what's so good about that play? Come, I will show you something better when we reach the parade site. That play will anyway get cheaper after the first show today. That high price today is due to the security reasons and for businessmen who are intending to improve their network in other countries as well as Sky." Bah-on then sighed as he looked at his leg and murmured, "I guess I will need 2 to 3 years to naturally heal this, or maybe I should approach Grand Podi 1 or Melanie. She may have a solution to this injury." The kid subconsciously heard Bah-on as he made up a resolve and thought, "I will certainly try to meet Grand Potioneer Melanie to help Uncle Bah-on. Anyway, let's go to the military parade and watch those new weapons as described by this con man." Chapter 304, John S. Rantings. At the same time, Quill and Taylor were in John's office as Quill spoke first, "My lord, we need to make some changes in tax benefits to soldiers as we detected a technical loophole which will give us problems in the long run, and people may question our army in future if these policies are misused by certain black sheep or ignorance." John nodded as he was going through the reports on the movements of troops at the borders. Speak, no need to worry, I won't be offended if I have to pass a decree and change some things even if it is related to our army. I am not someone who cares a lot about face in front of long-term consequences. Taylor sighed as he came forward and spoke, My Lord, according to the recent parliamentary bill, retired army servicemen would be getting an extra 3% tax benefit for life, which includes businesses operated by them, but there are various loopholes. Many merchant families who have those retired veterans will certainly change the shareholding pattern of their business to directly take that 3% tax benefit. I suggest that soldiers be given an extra 4% tax benefit only on new businesses or personal income tax if they engage in services for a period of 15 years. As for other benefits, we can provide free transportation in public services like the train after it is popularized, or free funding from the state to them and their children when it comes to higher studies and research. I would like you to veto this bill citing technical loopholes. Meanwhile, I will introduce a new bill consulting Quill to make it loophole-free and also satisfy the veterans. And I am sure this 4% extra tax benefit will certainly satisfy veterans as opposed to the previous 3%. John too nodded as he understood after looking at the bill and vetoed the bill with his stamp. Okay, there should be no problem. A loss of face is always better in the view of long-term interests. As for transportation, it would be all the state-funded transport services. I plan to bring in many other transportation services over the years, so it would be better to word it that way. Tell Glenn that they should tone down this matter and sensationalize it when they get this news so that Parliament doesn't get agitated unnecessarily. Just tell them that there are some technical modifications. Those big media house bitches on earth sensationalized every bit of news for more TRP and exposure of their agenda, which ruined their reputation and irritated the common citizens who understood the truth much later. Quill was quite confused as he spoke. Earth? Big media house bitches? TRP? What are these terms, my lord? The only I was able to understand was big media houses. As far as I am concerned, only the Imperial Institute of Elias and Sky Times are the biggest media houses in this region. John thought as he subconsciously ranted against media of his previous life. I almost exposed myself because of the ranting. John came back to his senses and spoke calmly, Ignore my last line. You won't understand it. I am just ranting. Just follow my previous orders. Meanwhile, any news on Elias? Quill nodded as he submitted a report and spoke. Lord Plato and Lord Joel have just arrived in the North Frontier City while they confronted Second Prince Bitter, but nothing big happened and it was in control. According to the report of Ghosts, Lord Plato has reorganized their Dragon Knight squad before coming here, and 2 of the Dragon Knights have been deployed at the Skyelius Blucia Junction for patrolling, while 4 Dragon Knights at the borders of Baron Mendez's domain. For the same reason, I have agreed to let Marsh keep 1/10 to 3/10 of the Southern Army at the borders of Baron Mendez. Some of our army personnel are in civilian clothes as requested by Baron Mendez to deceive Elias and know their intentions. In short, he wants us to act as his eyes and ears. In return, Baron Mendez has agreed to provide tax benefits at his borders for our traders. Currently, 30 squads of the artillery regiment are over there and 20 squads of infantry riflemen are placed at strategic roads, hills, and choke points. Each squad has 15 men each, and currently, reorganization is being carried out by Chief of Staff, Grand Marshal, Lord Arlen. The small army at Dolores is being headed by Devil Commander Orlan on the recommendation of General Marsh, as well as on the recommendation of the teachers at National Defense Academy, for the reason that he had best grades and he had most keen strategic and military mind when it came to using the geography, local, political and economic weakness of the enemy when in a war. John nodded and spoke. It looks like we need to be careful of those Dragon Knights in the future after these border countries create rifles and other explosives. I hope the Ghosts can gain more information on their Dragon Knights of Elias and Demon Dragon Hunters of Fire Abyss Kingdom. We should at least know the number of dragons in their arsenal, their total flight time in one sortie, their total power and destruction capacity if possible, and also their weaknesses. Ghosts should approach the Dragon Knight riders to get such info from them. The ghost can try anything like honey trapping the dragon knights, bribing, bootlicking them, or even try to get a position in their office. Our ghost businessmen, in the name of getting a recommendation from them in local businesses and administration, can also gain information from them subconsciously. Tell the ghosts that should try to approach the ones that like to boast a lot, as the ones who boast have loose mouths. We can at least get an idea of their actual aerial firepower. Anyway, let us go and invite our guests personally at the Purple Palace. The official matters can wait for a while. Quill and Taylor both noted down the details on approaching the Dragon Knights and Demon Dragon Hunters. Quill sighed as he spoke with courage before leaving. "My lord, we need to postpone the announcement of demonic agricultural accessories, as this will create quite a panic among many countries." Master Melanie and Lord Frederick is of the same opinion. It seems they didn't about it during the meeting and only realized after going through their work later at night. John thought for a second and understood that it will increase the slaving of demons and might create animosity among the commoner demons against Sky. John nodded and spoke firmly, "Postpone it. Bring the papers for my signature. This deal can be done behind closed doors. Inform the founders and shareholders of Demonic Agricultural Accessories that they should not publicize any news about demonic accessories. We will only announce it when agricultural machines are produced on a large scale, as this will reduce the impact of these accessories. This is quite a Pandora's box, as this will embolden the Radiant Church of their long-term plan to focus the slaving on other species and gain the support of humans." John meanwhile murmured as he left to meet Elias, "It seems I failed to grasp the impact of demonic agricultural accessories, as it didn't concern the demons of the sky. In the future, I need to be careful and think a bit before taking decisions even on the smallest matters." Chapter 305 Plato's Scheme. In the roads of North Frontier City. Meanwhile, Minister Joel and his team were quite surprised after looking at the clean, organized streets, houses, and the bustling commercial places in the North Frontier City. He asked Plato as they were waiting for John, Taylor, and others in the Elias Palace, which was just brought recently by Elias royal family for the important state visits by Elias. He asked, "What do you think about Sky, Plato?" Plato was also deep in thought after looking at the military arrangements of Sky and spoke, "In my view, they are very good at the management of their organizations. Whether it is the army, city, or people. They are really very good at it. To be honest, after looking at some of their private and state-operated companies, even I was quite astonished. The most astonishing aspect of Sky seems to be its commercial operations, and then there is their technology. I fear for Elias the day Sky ascends and influences the region because of its military and economic ambitions riding on their technological prowess. Well, I shouldn't worry much, as other forces will intervene as well. This time we lost because demons were on our tail, and they would have certainly attacked us if we moved the Dragon Knights from central capital to our northern borders. This is one of the reasons why I have reorganized the Dragon Knights for better efficiency." Joel nodded as he quietly looked outside. "What do you think of the military parade that is going on? And it seems instead of Anak they have made Arlen as the Grand Marshal General of Sky. If my guess is correct, then that General Anak is most probably His Majesty John." Plato too nodded his head and agreed with the assessment. "Yes, I feel the same. Lord John is showing the makings of a warlord as well as a wise king. I would wish him to be a warlord rather than a wise king, as Sky's rule would only be short-term, and Elias can certainly subdue Sky in long-term with betrayals and funding people who are unsatisfied. However, see this newspaper here. There is this new research on the long-term effects of multiple races in Sky. It seems this news is being published in all the newspapers with the heading of the social cultural path of Sky. This article is most likely being funded by their court, as it is in all the newspapers and magazines, so that people and scholars can debate on this subject. Now, this is quite an interesting social foresight shown by the researchers of Sky's Rose Institute." Joel took a look at the newspaper and read the article as he understood and showed a shocked expression. He asked Plato, "Hey, Plato, did you really think of these plans?" Plato smiled and spoke, "Well, in the long term, I did plan out my offensive against Sky for the next generation, which includes racial division using the media, infiltration of their institutions in all levels, bribing certain individuals and asymmetric warfare, and also using the sympathizers of Radiant Church to keep them distracted. However, this plan will not be implemented for now. In the short term, we will wait for the time until we create those new weapons called guns and cannons that can be equipped by our Dragon Knights and probe their defenses. In regards to social research, their intelligentsia seems quite capable in smelling future dangers, as a lot of my plans are included in this paper. I wish we had such capable individuals to warn our people. Well, we can always improvise on our plans. Finance Minister Joel gasped as he read the article and thoughts of Plato which were highlighted by the research. He asked, then, won't they use the same warfare against us? Plato smiled and spoke, certainly they can, but not all, as our laws are different from theirs. I only fear the nobles rebelling against Elias, and for this problem, I have given certain proposals to His Majesty which was sadly rejected. Our current problems are also related to slavery, which will be very hard to remove as it is related to noble interests. Anyway, currently, we are in a partnership with Sky, as Radiant Church is the bigger nuisance for us. Just recently, we got the latest report from Lord Norman about the new conspiracy of the Radiant Church, where they are researching the unlocking of bondage magic which is used by slave owners. On the surface, they are not speaking anything, but behind the scenes, their actions speak something else, as they are encouraging commoners to speak against slavery. Joel smiled as he thought of Plato's problems and suggested, it is true that we can't ban slavery outright like Lord John, but we can certainly implement it in phases. Joel continued, first, let's go to the root cause. Most of the times, slaves come from mercenaries or from prisoners of war or from debt slaves. We can certainly ban the mercenary organizations engaged in the slave trade, where they enslave the whole villages during war times. And now, because of the previous war, I am sure even lords and nobles with slave interests will be unable to refute you openly. So we should cut the roots, i.e. the mercenary organizations, and tree will automatically wither away. As for the prisoners of war, we can give them some rights and use them in certain industries where there is a lack of labor. Give those prisoners a hefty prison sentence and then offer them leniency in their sentences if they decide to work there. Give them a normal salary, which will more beneficial for us in the long term. As for placating nobles, you can tell them that ones to catch the most amount of prisoners in a war will be given the most awards. Plato smiled as he heard Joel. Hey Joel, why are you helping me suddenly? Aren't those mercenary organizations one of the biggest taxpayers in Elias? As far as your plan is concerned, some parts are feasible but some aren't. Like the one for placating nobles. Do you think every noble is brave to capture enemy soldiers? Nope, they aren't. In front of capturing unarmed villagers and armed enemies, which one will you prefer? Unarmed villagers, right? As far as banning mercenary organizations is concerned, we can certainly make the law, but we can't implement it fully, as the nobles behind these mercenary organizations will certainly protect them in their own territories. Joel heard as he nodded and spoke, those mercenary organizations aren't really benefiting us when they slave the full villages, because the profits don't outweigh the losses in other areas. When I conducted research, those villages gave more taxes to us than the mercenary organizations. Not to mention lost lives as well as lost yields in food. And do you think that the commoners in the border areas don't know? They certainly know, but always choose to keep quiet, as speaking against mercenary organizations or nobles will mean certain death. This is also one of the reasons why Lord John got so much support in his previous rebellion. And I am sure this wasn't taken into consideration by scholars for certain reasons, as they don't want to stir the pot and become the eye of the storm. Those slaves and commoners had enough trust in John, as they personally knew John and hence joined his rebellion. Many times I wanted to speak on this financial aspect openly to the king in the court, but I know there will be severe consequences if I speak on it openly. Well, His Majesty also is aware of this when I met him personally in his chambers to discuss the financial losses due to mercenary organizations, but I understand that he has to take into consideration his own power and nobles behind those organizations, as this topic will certainly create a civil war. Plato nodded as he understood certain problems and spoke, it seems this is the same reason why His Majesty decided to reject my previous proposal when I proposed to cut the power of noble armies, as he instead advised me to reorganize the Dragon Knights who were useless in the previous war. Well, I can slowly achieve it. From now on we will openly target the mercenaries to the power of dukes. Plato then murmured, maybe I should make the Radiant Church and those slave-owning nobles to fight against each other. Yup. When I return I will release this news to those nobles that Church is planning to ban slavery. It will be quite a show. Plato smiled cunningly as he decided to scheme against the slave-owning nobles and the Radiant Church. At this time Taylor arrived with Luke as they finished the documentation work for the diplomatic immunity of certain individuals. Meanwhile in the Radiant City's main crutch, Pope David had a chill behind his back as he was having a meeting with other cardinals. One of the cardinals spoke, "Let's start our preparations." Pope David. Cardinal once again spoke, "Pope David. We need to start." Pope David came to his senses as he nodded and left with the cardinals. Chapter 307 Who knows, we may gain unexpected benefits. At this time, Taylor and others had arrived at the floating palace where all the important decisions were going to be taken. John and Quill arrived at the palace while all the other officials were already present waiting for John. There was silence as soon as John's arrival was announced by the guards. Immediately everyone kneeled in front of John just like it was done in other countries. Officials of Elias and other countries were quite taken back after watching John's aura and followed suit as they too kneeled like others. John sighed as he signaled everyone to rest and start the official matters in the palace. This time it was Joel who immediately greeted Quill and John together while Plato was looking from the sidelines and followed Joel, who was the official representative of Elias's team of officials and businessmen. As soon as John had entered the palace he immediately detected Plato's aura and magic capacity, while Plato could only detect John's aura while not the magic and power capacity due to concealment from the system's upgraded abilities. Plato thought as he looked at John, when people voluntarily kneeled, as expected of a man who commands so many people at once. His aura alone commands majesty from the populace, no wonder he is popular among the commoners, slaves, or the people in his court. This meeting surely won't be easy. I better be on guard against his schemes in case I get used as a pawn by him. Anyway, let's start with the business and then political talks, as I need to be cautious against him. I better secure the terms he agreed previously when I had talks with him. We will anyway benefit from those trade terms. It seems even that Trader Baron Mendez is over here even though I didn't invite him specifically. I guess I can only treat it as I never saw him. Plato too came and greeted John enthusiastically. I have long heard your great name, Lord John. I can only say that the rumors only underestimated you. As a sign of a new beginning between Elias and Sky, I hope you won't reject this gift and have a drink with me. As I proclaimed earlier, I along with Elias come here with sincerity so as deepen our relations with you and your people. Some low-level officials from Sky were quite shocked by Plato's boot-licking skills. One of the official asked his senior, Sir Ben, what is going on? Why is that Plato bootlicking in front of Lord John while just seconds ago he was trying to slap the face of Lord Taylor? Lord Ben, who just took over as a Deputy Minister of Finance, looked at the youngster and spoke, well, it isn't surprising because no one would want to get on the nerves of the kings. Additionally, no matter what, His Majesty John is still the King of Sky and this fact is set in stone and he has to give face to Lord John for this feat. No matter what, even gods or demons can't change or challenge His Majesty's rise as a king, they can only create trouble till the crowning ceremony. As for why he is bootlicking or trying to be on the good side of His Majesty, his political career depends on this mission and he might be wary of the moods of his king who used to take disastrous decisions because of his anger, and hence he is trying to be cautious so as not to tick off Lord John's wrong side in case Lord John cancels the whole deal in anger. Ha ha ha. Well, he certainly isn't familiar with Lord John's way for certain, as Lord John has never gone back on his word. Lord Ben continued, the other reason might be that he wants to scheme something with Lord John and or even get more benefits from Sky in this deal, and hence he might be trying to get chummy. Anyway, it will be revealed later on. Well, there is this rumor which I heard among the ministers on Lord Plato. Lord Plato has always been trying to get on the good sides of all the kings and queens, whether it was King Apollyon of Fire Abyss, Queen Kaelin of Ionanor, or the Dwarf King. I guess he always wants to keep a path open for himself in case he gets crossed by his king, queen, big family nobles or the other crown princes, as I am sure he has seen and has been involved in a lot of bloodshed in the court of Ilias. Well, that is also the reason why he can completely offend some princes without batting an eye. Ben thought, well, the other thing might be because of Lord John's aura as well as power which he might have grasped after years of his experience. The official nodded his head as he understood why Lord Plato was trying to be cautious. He too nodded and thought, true enough, after hearing from Lord Ben, now I understand why Plato isn't called the most cunning strategist of Ilias for no reason. Maybe only Prime Minister Has of Ilias can be comparable to him. John smiled as he continued squeezing Plato's hands as he looked at Plato and thought, he is quite strong for a minister, I guess he is just half a level below master. This is quite some bootlicking, no wonder he is on the good side of the king even after offending Prince Hector, also it seems that he is quite worried about the deal and hence is trying to be on my good side. Or maybe it is because of hierarchy. Anyway, I better get done with this deal since it is in our favor and hurry up for the crowning ceremony. We might as well scheme up something in these few days against the Radiant Church. John nodded as he looked at Plato while squeezing his hands and spoke, it seems Lord Plato had quite a fun time with Taylor while you were here in Skye. Not wasting any time on pleasantries, I hope you will be staying for the crowning ceremony and also complete the other formal necessities. You may receive a surprise if all of you, including the diplomats of other countries, stay here during the crowning ceremony. I am sure everyone that stays during the visit will benefit by attending the crowning ceremony. Quill, start the show so as to entertain our guests today. Lord Plato had a pale face as he was trying his best to smile while John squeezed his hand. Plato thought, damn, what sort of strength is this? Even those generals at Ilias or Fire Abyss aren't this strong. I can't get angry, smile, smile. Focus on this mission. I guess this was payback from Lord John for trying to bully his subordinate. Arg, I just need to bear it for a while, I can't lose face over here. Quill too couldn't help but laugh as he watched Plato's face that was trying to keep his cool. Meanwhile, Taylor and Joel too were smiling as they looked at the scene from below the podium. After John's order to start the party, Quill had arranged everyone to follow the new hall. All the people started pouring into the big entertainment hall which was made especially for the event today at the floating castle. After entering the hall, a lot of nobles and diplomats from Ilias, Fire Abyss and other countries were quite surprised after Skye presented the new glass items in the hall to everyone. Watching various glass articles along with refined sculptures truly surprised everyone participating in this event. One of the nobles from Ilias named Willow exclaimed, who was quite ignorant of glass development, how can glass be crafted artistically like this? Isn't glass formed naturally? Even the alchemists who produce them can't produce such finely crafted glass. They only make rough articles. This glass sculpture of the goddess of fertility and harvest alone is an artistic marvel and can be sold for high prices in the grand auctions since it is first of such glass artifact. A lot of people in the event agreed with the noble as they watched the glass sculpture of goddess of fertility and harvest. The noble, Marquis Willow, who was praising the artifact of goddess of fertility and harvest, asked one of the low-level officials from Skye, hey, can I get the information of the alchemist or company that made this artifact? I am sure I can give him a very good price for such a treasure. I specifically want a glass artifact statue for myself and hence the request. Do you have any information regarding that? The official sighed as he spoke to Marquis Willow, Marquis Willow, I am sorry, even I don't have any information regarding the artifacts shown in this event. This is the first time that these wonderful artifacts are shown to all the officials, including ones from other countries. If you want, you may visit the glass manufacturing company which produces glass products such as wine bottles, windows, and other things to inquire. And since a deal is almost done with Ilias, then you may be able to import such items in your manor. Marquis Willow nodded as he understood the situation and then met with certain businessmen from Elias to plan forward for his business venture. After watching the finely crafted glass which was used for wine bottles, glasses, tables, chandelier, and other things, everyone in the palace including many officials from Sky marveled at this scene. To the nobles from other countries, this only exuded luxury as such fine glass artifacts and products were considered rare even for the royal palaces. Only Taylor and a few ministers smiled as they knew that today's event would surely create noise in other empires. Taylor thought as he looked at the noble who was praising the sculpture of the goddess, "As far I know, this sculpture was made by one of the workers at glass manufacturing works in his off hours. I better reward him since he is quite good at glass arts. Maybe we can export these items first as luxury items to other countries. Our first target will be the nobles and then after a few years it will be the common public, but we have to create a brand name so as secure the top market." One of the Sky officials thought and murmured, "Isn't our glass manufacturing currently limited to windows glass, glass bottle, mugs and telescopes as seen earlier? Or even the projectors and the new camera's lenses? It seems we had some breakthroughs and hence the show today. Maybe these articles were held intentionally up until now for a better presentation of our kingdom." Even Annan, who was present, thought, "This setup seems quite luxurious for a small event today. Even our dwarf kingdom can only create glass that is of yellow or blue color. And we can't really create such fine sculptures of glass with our current technological prowess. This fully transparent glass is quite a fine quality glass compared to others. From the looks, it seems glass will be one of the main or even the main export of Sky and hence the show today to all the foreign dignitaries. It seems their main target are the nobles from various countries. Maybe we too can collaborate with them in packing of the luxurious wines produced by the Wine King personally, just like Sky. From this, it can be seen that Sky has the ability to produce glass on a very large scale. We should hurry up as well." Quill coughed a bit as he spoke in a commanding tone after signaling Donovan, who was backstage, "I hope everyone here today can enjoy the show which was specially arranged for today's event. Today's drama is presented here by Mr. Donovan's company, Donovan Entertainment." Quill thought and smiled as he continued his announcement, "Lord John even commercialized today's event with advertisement where I thought we had to fork out quite a lot for today's show. I guess this can only be attributed to the status of floating palace. And there is this thing, he will be recording this event from the sidelines." Quill concluded as he left the podium and joined John, "The other important events will be held later. I hope every one of you can relax free from other worries while the show is going on." Bitter too was quite astonished as he watched the palace in marvel. He thought, "I must make them my allies. They will certainly be of big help against my brothers as well as Elias in future. Let's see what is Arzaz's view on this." Bitter asked Arzaz, who wasn't quite fazed unlike others, "Arzaz, what do you think of this show by Sky?" Arzaz showed a rare smile and spoke to Bitter as he understood what he was trying to convey, "Knowing Lord John, I think that this is just a starter and that the main show will be during his crowning ceremony as a king. I think they can certainly be good allies for us in the future. Maybe we can use that information from the underworld about the heavens plans to gain his interest as well as trust. Who knows, we may gain unexpected benefits." Bitter nodded as he too decided his plans after hearing Arzaz's counsel and spoke, "It's decided, we will use our sources and men to try and contact His Majesty John or his important ministers." Chapter 308, Bickering between grandfathers and grandsons. Meanwhile, Trevor and Carl, who were standing with Jack and Joseph, were quite stunned after watching today's show. Trevor looked at Plato and then the surrounding officials of Sky and understood that these glass marvels were shown to the people for the first time and that he should grab this opportunity. Knowing the urgency, Trevor asked Jack, who smiling smugly watching Trevor and Carl, "Jack, it seems that you knew about this event from the start, don't you? Anyway, are these glass articles open to export, and if so, how do we contact the right suppliers or manufacturers? And there is also a need for safe packing. Then maybe we can collaborate and discuss various things on this deal." Jack understood as soon as he heard Trevor and thought, "It seems Grandpa is talking to me on equal terms today for the first time. Very well, I shall suck him dry since he spoke first and also since my interests lie in Sky first, so it is appropriate for me to do this. Karl too came back from his fantasy and got into action as he tried to converse with Joseph on various topics. As he slowly got on the main point, Joseph, it seems both you and Jack hold high positions in Lord John's cabinet, since you aren't quite surprised by today's show? Don't you? I wanted to know your views about my previous letter. Joseph tried to control his anger after he watched his grandfather's shameless boot-licking skills. He thought as he looked, doesn't he have any shred of shame? Isn't this the same as when he used to bootlick certain dukes in capital? He just makes me more and more angry. Anyway, knowing his nature, this is very hard to change. Well, it still feels good that he is treating me on the same level as the dukes back in Elias. Watching Joseph's frowning face, Karl understood what was going on in Joseph's head and spoke in a crude but humorous manner. What is with this frowning face, as if you are disgusted by me like I have not bathed for days? Isn't it good that now you are independent from the family? If you were dependent on the family, then it would have only created more problems for you, since your businesses would have been attached to the family business and you would have to provide the shares for it to the family like your brothers. Before leaving for Sky, you had already settled the accounts with money and businesses, so your current situation is at least better for you. Joseph, trying to gauge his grandfather, spoke bluntly, it's not like you had any choice in that matter, since my brothers or even the Elias royal family wanted to gobble up a lot of my business. So don't act like family expelled me for my well-being without notifying me first when you started gobbling up my businesses in the name of treason. And don't tell me that the Morgan family did not gain anything when I was expelled from the family. You guys gained a lot of political support from the central dukes, princesses, Duke Blackwolf, and other nobles that was gained by offering some of my business's share. Maybe about 30%, 40% was offered to the nobles if I am not wrong, while my brothers and sisters gobbled up about 25%, 30% with the support of elders, while my father was left with pennies, i.e. about 20%, and the rest was gobbled up by the family. Am I right? It seems you ate something bad on your way. Why is face red with anger? Don't you want to curse at me right now? And what do you mean that I settled the accounts? You guys forcefully settled the accounts without my consent. Moreover, you guys earned a lot in mulberry, sand, or other raw material business, which I used to do, i.e. sell those materials to North Frontier Town directly. Now you guys simply sell it via nobles and other intermediaries which you think I am not aware of. Well, everyone had a good share in the pie previously when I was expelled. This time, I will be sucking you dry for not notifying me of the expulsion, as I would have been better prepared if that was the case. I also want the names of the ones who first proposed and tried to expel me from the family previously. This should also include the names of nobles who tried to influence the Morgan conglomerate. I am not someone who will take this insult lying down. Karl's face was almost black as he heard Joseph, because that was exactly the case. He thought as he heard Joseph, it seems this kid can't be fooled easily by presenting a bad scenario like a good one. I also forgot the fact that this guy can use the information network of ghosts or even the chambers of commerce of Sky to keep an eye on family matters. It was good that I tried my best to shield Frank from other elders, or else this kid would tear my whole face. Anyway, back to business. Our contracts will depend on a deal-to-deal basis. I will be strictly following the usual protocols in regards to state matters, while you can still deal with me when it comes to my personal businesses. But don't think that I will give any concessions. Karl thought as he heard Joseph. He still had his usual smile while trying to bottle up his anger. Damn it, this guy says he will follow all the protocols, but at the same time wants the names of nobles and also the elders in the family who lobbied first to expel him. I am sure he will blacklist them for various reasons when it comes to business with Sky. Who knows, he might even blacklist them in the immigration list which was proposed just recently by the Sky Parliament. If they are blacklisted in the immigration list, then I will be chewed out by them. I hate it, I hate it. I hate doing such a thankless job. Anyway, sorry Max, you will be sacrificed first. And Elder Brown, you too will be sacrificed since you lobbied most fiercely, and also he got on my nerves for the various projects which I wanted to be done earlier about 3 years in the past. Fuck you. I lost 3 years worth of profits in various projects because of your delay and bickering. Carl smiled as he agreed with Joseph's authoritative tone, which was usually done only to the dukes or nobles with a lot of power. Carl's butler, Trevor, and others couldn't help but chuckle and look at the duo. Jack sighed and murmured, "Are they really grandfather and grandson? Because from the looks of it, I think they look more like strangers." Trevor sighed and spoke, "Just for more profits, he isn't even keeping his face. This guy will remain as shameless as he was in the past. I guess I understand his situation since he isn't representing himself alone while a lot of people are waiting to grab his position in the family. Anyway, Joseph, you let me watch a good scene today, which was usually the other way around about 20 years back when I visited your family palace." Trevor looked at Jack, who was thinking the same, and spoke bluntly, "Don't expect me to bootlick like that shameless guy over there for more contracts. I value my face more than profits. You should be clear on the choice you made when you were expelled. While your businesses are still in the hands of your mother and father, and only a part of the business share is given to Duke Howard and Marquis Willow over there to protect it from the court and the royal family. The same would have been applied if it was others in your position. I don't like such sort of politics in the family since we already have enough problems." Carl meanwhile didn't give two hoots on Trevor's comments as he continued with his smile and talked business with Joseph. He thought, "What do you know about these more contracts? These more contracts give the most benefits unlike others. Just some side small contracts from the royal palace are enough to fill the coffers of middle-sized businessmen in Elias. All you know is to make poisons, sell information, assassinate or other side businesses in which you got lucky when you started dabbling in them. I can be as shameless as I want since I don't care about face on small matters." Jack nodded as he understood his grandfather, who was always strict on the outside but soft in the inside when it came to important matters. Jack nodded and spoke, "Well, we will go according to the laws of Sky. You wouldn't need to worry about nobles or anything of that sort if you are going to do business in Sky. I think you already got reports about the business environment over here by your people. Business here is truly based on competition, networks, and other skills. Well, you can also get exclusive deals if you can provide timely information on the movements of the Radiant Church and food supply in the borders, and other sorts of deals that are quite generous. If your company is good in service, then you may become a regular supplier of raw materials due to quality to the government of Sky directly. This may also benefit you in getting better prices when negotiating with them. You can also reject it if you want to, so there is no compulsion, but there are a lot of lucrative contracts over there when it comes to information." Trevor nodded affirmatively as he heard about the business and political climate from Jack and also his spies. Trevor thought as he heard Jack, "True, I have not seen the kind of hooligans which are usually seen in other countries that harass small businesses usually. Maybe I should invest more from what I intended to invest previously. Even my spies here have not reported about any sort of problems faced in business by hooligans or local authorities. As long as laws are followed, you can carry on your work and business without any interference." Jack continued as he tried to see and amuse himself by watching Trevor's facial expressions. "When you asked my views on medical research center owned by Snake family in Sky, then there shouldn't be any problem since there are already 2 other big private players in the medicine sector in Sky, but there should be sufficient trials and results cannot be faked. In short, what you proclaim about the medicine on the product label cannot be faked, or else the company can be sued for the same by the prosecutors. You would also need to be aware of your competitors who would use the media to slander each other." Trevor furrowed his brows as he asked Jack to confirm, "Don't those 2 other private players fund the local authorities or politicians to gain their private backing? Additionally, won't the private players become a hindrance for the state-owned enterprises because of the competition?" Jack smiled as he too wanted to confront John about this previously when John privatized a lot of sectors. Jack smiled and spoke, "Well, Lord John has a different view since he likes competition and he feels that the monopoly of any sort of sector won't bring any innovation and only make the state corporations fat without any responsibility. As for the profits of state corporations, he doesn't care since government would anyway get the timely taxes. He feels that the market should judge which is a good company and which isn't. You can think of this measure as keeping a leash on state corporations so that they don't slack all the time. Trevor nodded and murmured as he understood why John made these decisions, more like keeping a balance on both the sides. This is anyway a good measure since private players and state corporations will keep each other in check. Chapter 309 Schemes and Plans by Plato. Queen Cecilia's sister Rona and others were quite mesmerized by the new drama that was being played at the floating castle. Rona, who was seated beside Joel, exclaimed as she watched the show, "This show Hamlet is a very good drama which explores intriguing aspects of life. I wonder why we didn't have such dramas and screenplays in Ilias. What do you think, Joel, Plato? Anyway, who wrote this screenplay? I would like to meet such a talented artist." One of Joel's butler couldn't help murmur, "Well, most of the screenplay that is born is killed at its birth by the Radiant Church in the name of blasphemy, honor and whatnot, or some who survive are pushed down by certain old men at the court who want to retain the positions as chief writers of court when it comes to dramas." Rona was about to scold Joel's butler, but Joel too nodded with his butler and spoke, "Your Majesty, he isn't wrong, you know. Just take the recent ban by the Radiant Church on theatres, bards, and anyone that criticizes them of their conduct. Royal court had to agree with the Radiant Church's offer since Lord John was spreading scandals about Prince Hector and the royal family by secretly funding them. I guess it was Sky's plan from the start to gain all the influential people from Ilias to Sky. And it is only now that the ban on newspapers and others is lifted up since we are going to sign a peace trade deal with Sky." Plato, who was quiet until now, spoke after hearing Joel's opinion, "Joel, you are partially right and partially wrong. One of the major reasons is the Radiant Church for sure, but another major reason is the rigidity and control over literature in Ilias by most of the noble families in their regions, not the influential old writers. Most of the influential writers would want their art to flourish and not be bogged down as it is done currently. As far as I know, the royal family and nobles mostly use their influential writers writ to sanction anyone who is an eyesore to them via major theatre owners. Here at Sky, I have not seen that to be the case. Quite a lot of theatres here have sometimes shown dramas where they are depicting big politicians, policemen, people from judiciary, etc. as antagonists without any consequences from the authorities. And this has freed people who were quite worried about offending the authorities at Sky. So I guess this is one of the major reasons why people pursuing arts, medicine, and other things are choosing to migrate to Sky. However, you can't depict real personalities and defame them since you can be sued till bankruptcy by them. Well, most of the things are detailed in the laws which I had gone through previously, and I think that they are quite good." Plato smiled as he looked towards John and spoke, "But I am sure this situation in Ilias will change in a few years because of the arrival of printing machines and newspapers which Lord John started a year back. As for this play of Hamlet, I heard from Mr. Donovan previously that it was personally provided by Lord John." Rona nodded as she heard Plato's analysis. Rona was quite surprised after she heard Plato, no wonder he is called a man of multiple talents. "I just hope that we can reconcile with him and take the soldiers and nobles from our factions back. That kid Hector just had to antagonize the wrong person and now we are in this shitty mess. Now he is even trying to dabble with the wrong guys. If he can have a calm mind, then he may become fit for politics. In politics, he should know that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. Anyway, don't let anyone over here know of my identity since I am traveling under the radar." Both Joel and Plato nodded as they agreed with Princess Rona when it came to her views on politics. John, who was just 2 rows ahead of them, heard their conversation. Because of his improved hearing, he heard them and couldn't help but cough a few times due to his embarrassment of plagiarizing, because he had simply taken this play from Earth since he wanted the show to be a success. The system timely mocked him after coming back online after John's upgrade, "Even your conscience says that you are plagiarizing. Why don't you simply accept that you have lost against me? Updated status. Name, John Sky. Status, human to evolved human. Physique, comparable to demons and devils alike, while at the same time the system has modified your meridians better than others. 2 times as compared to demons and devils and 4 times as compared to humans. Titles, Child of Chaos, by all the alien entities, King of Sky Kingdom, uncrowned, First King of Men, given by your subjects for removing slavery, Troublemaker, by the alien entities called gods, irregular. Powers, small status check of everything with enough mana, evolved eyes, multitasking, currently able to multitask 12 things at a time, super strength, super stamina, sharpshooting, two-handed swordsmanship, dagger techniques of Vlad, ghost steps, strategize, pody wondering, pharmacist, alchemist, pill concocting, weaponsmith. Short teleportation, super scanning, super speed, super regeneration, summoning, sealed, super senses, ultra high reaction speed. Super system mode, sealed, cloning, sealed, space shift, range of 100 m. Shape shifting, sealed. Resistant to medium grade poisons. Resistant to diseases and curses. Status, lifted the curse of Irmela by evolution. God of Fate has taken an interest in you. Other powers are not needed to be known by the host. Access to Advanced System Shop is open to you, and items and technology can be bought from there with system points. There are 4 gift boxes remaining in the inventory which are yet to be opened. You currently possess 145 million system points. John smiled as he looked at the upgraded status. He thought as he looked at the status, God damn it, that Mecha's price has been raised to 400 million points by this unscrupulous system. Who knows what other traps will be laid even if I buy the Mecha. It seems there were quite some benefits after taking the ancestral blood of the demons. From this upgrade, I can feel that I have gained a lot of powers. The super system mode, summoning, cloning and shape-shifting seems to be sealed. It looks like certain conditions need to be met for using those skills. I can even do a status scan of the people in my vision range. Now, this was an unexpected boon. What a surprise! It seems that Guy Arzaz, who came with Bitter, is much stronger than Plato. I wonder how he compares with Master Vlad. Watching his mask, I guess he is undercover currently, just like Princess Rona. I should open the gift boxes and see what does it have in store. After confirming the OK button, the first gift box was opened. Opening the first gift box. You have obtained a complete set of basic knowledge and manufacturing blueprints of products for plastic, rubber, and other variants of arcan that can be used in place of rubber. John thought as he looked at the rewards, quite an unexpected and timely arrival. Plastics and rubber products will surely revolutionize this world as they did in my previous world. Let's see the next box. Opening gift box number 2. Wait for a few seconds. 3, 2, 1. You have obtained a complete set of computing hardware knowledge comparable to Earth's present timeline. Well, it is quite basic since other worlds have already improved their technology. It was still quite a good gain. All I need to do is buy the software knowledge from the system since I already have hardware manufacturing knowledge. Who knows, maybe this guy deliberately gave me the basic computer hardware knowledge so that I start purchasing from his shop. Anyway, it will still be good for now. Opening gift box number 3. Wait for a few seconds. You have obtained the basic mechanical engineering knowledge set. Opening gift box number 4. Wait for a few seconds. Arg. You have obtained basic aerospace engineering. Damn it, I gave the NG gift. I misspoke, those guys up above just want to see what is going on no matter what. HMPF. I can't even enjoy at peace. Once again the Irmela's angel, who was trying to pry open and look at John's territory, was jolted back as his crystal ball broke apart. The angel spoke angrily. This is the 4th crystal ball in 2 days which broke apart without any breakthroughs. It is just like when we are trying to look at the royal palaces of dwarves, elves, devils, or demons. It is as if he is no longer a human. Maybe we can use this fact against him. John thought in surprise as he looked at the knowledge he received. It looks like the system mistakenly gave me basic aerospace engineering knowledge. And though it looked like a gift box, however, most of the time the system manipulated the outcomes of the gift box. Anyway, it was a good result. So currently my gains are: basic knowledge and manufacturing blueprints for plastics, rubber, and other variants of argon. Basic knowledge of computer in relation to hardware. Basic mechanical engineering knowledge. Basic aerospace engineering knowledge. Rona thought as she looked at John and other ministers who were quietly discussing something. She looked at Plato and spoke. Plato, what do you think of other moves of Hector since he has lost our family support? And are you sure that you don't want to support him currently? Plato smiled as he looked at Rona's hesitance and spoke. The day I moved against him was the day I finally decided to cross paths against him. So there is no doubt of change in my stance, Your Highness. As long as Prince Hector doesn't learn to control his emotions, I won't be supporting him, since Elias would be doomed under such a ruler. It is better for Queen Cecilia to start supporting her other child, i.e. the 7th prince. And I am sure even your own family has come to the same conclusion when it comes to Prince Hector and his reckless ways. Both Joel and Rona sighed as they nodded after hearing his firm answer. Plato thought and murmured, currently, Prince is trying to contact the slave king, i.e. Duke von Longbonder, since he won't have the full support of the Radiant Church, his elder brother. I am just worried that Duke von may pull bigger tricks using Hector's reputation, and unlike last time with better preparations. Joel and Rona were quite shocked because Duke von's name had long been spread in most of the countries. Joel spoke quietly, Hey Plato, isn't Duke von the one who helped the Dwarf King slaving the dissenters when he came to power? As far as I know, even Sky's chief researcher Tornwall and other dwarf researchers were also included in that purge. Plato smiled as he nodded with agreement and spoke, Well, I will be scheming with Lord John for that this time around. I will also be making sure that Lord John has all the information required against Radiant Church as well as nobles who support Slaw. I misspoke, I mean Slave King. Rona and Joel got chills up behind their backs as soon as they heard of Plato scheming against the Slave King and Pope David of the Radiant Church. Plato continued as he thought of his plans on making Sky, Radiant Church, and the Slave King fight against each other. As far as I know, His Majesty John will agree with this scheme even if he knows of my agenda, since this will anyway help him reduce the influence of the Radiant Church and the old nobles who are in favor of the status quo of slaving system. So you guys shouldn't worry for now and just watch the show. Even His Majesty Lionheart wouldn't want to dirty his hands in this fight between the three factions. Chapter 310 Smart Move in Times of Chaos. Rona smiled mysteriously as she heard Plato's plan to make all the wolves fight each other. After the performance by Donovan Entertainment, there was a big applause as the artists felt exhilarated for the first time since it was such a big occasion. Donovan took over as he thanked everyone and let everyone know about the future plans of Donovan Entertainment. Quill took over the podium for the announcement of the next event after Donovan left. Duchess Rona smiled as she watched the end of the performance done by the artists of Donovan Entertainment. She asked her butler, "Try contacting Donovan later on, I would like to talk to him for cooperation with our theaters in Elias after the announcement of our North-South peace deal with Sky. I think investing in media may become a good investment for us in long term. We should buy a press and try opening our own regional newspapers along with a book publishing house. His contacts will be useful for us in acquiring the printing presses and other things. Lord John seems like a gold mine if I can have good relations with him." The butler nodded as he left to give instructions to some of the guards while Joel and Plato focused on the next event. The butler thought, it seems Princess Rona wants to dabble in media since it can help her in increasing her influence and power. A smart move in the times of chaos. Plato noted Princess Rona's instructions mentally and understood that she was trying to increase her influence for her family. After the event, Quill spoke as Donovan and his team left the podium. "I hope everyone enjoyed the show today. Now, Coming to the main event, the next event will be the biggest auction of Sky, where there will be many opportunities for everyone today. I hope everyone enjoys the event and takes the chance. As for the items in the auction, all of them have been verified by our floating palace, so no one needs to worry about the quality. Quill stopped and smiled as he looked at the reactions of the people participating in the auction. There was a gasp among all the people, as no one expected an auction today on such a short notice after the previous auction. Many businessmen were excited but worried as well, since some nobles didn't look happy. During this time, John for the first time used his scanning and status check on people near him. He murmured as he used his status check, "Let's check Taylor first." Suddenly rows of data came into the vision of John as he used status check. Name, Taylor. Mana, 100. Power, 319. Level, 6. Status, healthy. Species, human. Talent, good at administration, diplomacy, investigation, and nurturing talents. Other information can be revealed after status check upgrades to the next level. John thought as he looked at the data, this seems useful. Okay, let's look at others over here. Let's look at Master's status. Name, Vlad Blusia. Title, Vlad of the Dark. Mana, 1900. Power, 4500. Level, 40. Status, mortally injured for quite a few decades. Can be cured. Species, demon, shadow demon. Talents, good at assassinations, protection, scheming, training, spying, dark arts and military planning. John was quite surprised as he looked at the data, as he murmured, "Master is injured. Now, this is surprising. I did hear that he was once injured when he took his revenge and swore loyalty to Duke Frederick. The injury may also be related to schemes done by Diana's uncle Draco, so I can't guess. Anyway, I better focus on trying to find a cure for Master. However, it will be hard to convince Master since he hasn't even mentioned his injury." John checked a lot of people as he was quite surprised when he saw the results, especially Arzaz, who was the retainer of second Prince Bitter, who had a level of 44. When John did a status check of Arzaz, Arzaz subconsciously looked back at John as he felt something. Arzaz was quite surprised to have such a feeling as he smiled and nodded to John and turned back to the event as he murmured, "Now I know why Lord John was able to have such results in the previous war. I think he possesses the heavenly eye or the all-seeing eye, but he may not have got any results on some of us like me. He somehow gave me a creepy feeling when he was looking at me. Is he gay? Bullshit. Unlike the outer exterior, he is quite stronger as compared to most of the people, as even I can't gauge him." Arzaz then looked at Vlad and then Plato as he muttered, "It seems even these both old coots are weaker than Lord John. From the looks, I can see that Plato has not improved after he left the battlefield and entered politics. Duke Frederick and Vlad are more stronger than him currently. He is better as a strategist, so he can't be compared to combatants. However, it's a pity that he stopped focusing on his martial ways." Prince Bitter, who was focused on auction, spoke as he heard his mutterings, "What are you muttering about? Speak clearly." Arzaz shook his head as he said through telepathy, "Lord, it seems that we underestimated Lord John's prowess. I think even I can't handle him on a 1vs1 currently. However, there is good news." Prince Bitter was quite shocked after he heard Arzaz, as he knew his prowess. "Even your fire demon transformation can't handle him? As for the good news, what is it?" Arzaz shook his head and spoke, "Nope. Not even fire demon transformation. I have this instinct and feeling where I know that I can be in mortal danger when facing certain enemies and opponents, and Lord John gives me the same feeling of mortal danger. Lord John gives the same sort of feeling as General Leo Ruthless, the 4 personal guards of Lord Apollyon, and Lord Apollyon himself, or the leaders of beast tribes. From Lord John, I feel that even trickery might not be useful against him. As for the good news, Lord John has finally noticed me and he may soon meet us today, so we must be prepared." Prince Bitter was in long thought as he heard Arzaz and made a decision. "After hearing you, I have made a decision. I will put in more chips and investment on Lord John to show my sincerity for our collaboration today. I have heard that he repays sincerity tenfolds, and I don't want him as my enemy after your earlier evaluation, so it is better that we have good or at least neutral relations with him. Arzaz nodded and spoke, that is true, he did offend the Fjord Duchy for the former slaves Taylor and Jake. Though people might think that it was politically motivated to open a Pandora's box, but I don't share the same opinion, because from the way he does things I think he would have taken more time to prepare for rebellion if that was the case. This rebellion seemed rushed but also calculated due to changes in real time. I guess backing up his people at that time was the best chance to win the hearts of common people and slaves, as well as to show his resolve to the common populace. Bitter nodded as he heard Arzaz's evaluation of the escalation of the previous rebellion. Meanwhile, John too nodded to Arzaz as he smiled and understood why Arzaz looked back at him. John thought as Arzaz looked back, ah. He noticed the status check. Now this is interesting. Hey Sarah, what do you think? Sarah spoke as John asked the question, that was instinctive due to years of rigorous training. Additionally, this status check is of the lowest level. John meanwhile checked the advanced store for software and rolled his eyes as he saw the sky-high prices. He spoke, you seem like one of those game developers who offer free games but make us spend thoroughly through in-game purchases. Sarah whistled as if she didn't hear John and muttered, humph, the very fact that you got aerospace engineering knowledge this cheap and enough to make me vomit bucket loads of blood. If I encounter those peeping bastards again, I swear I will beat the shit out of them to make me suffer a loss. As for high software costs, isn't it obvious? Software runs the things the way you want, or else you are free to opt for manual labor. Software's job is to make productivity efficient. John sighed and didn't bother arguing with Sarah. John then looked at Taylor and spoke, Taylor, didn't you say earlier that Second Prince Bidder wanted a meeting with me today? You can inform them that they can meet me after the auction today. Taylor was surprised at the sudden change but soon nodded after hearing John. He then asked his men to deliver a letter to Arzaz and his men for the meeting later on.